How many areas of your life are you trying to control? Your diet, your relationships, your morning routine, your finances? What is it that you're gripping onto so tight right now? Hoping that if you just get it right, then maybe everything else will finally fall into place. But here's the real question. Why? Why do we obsess over control? And what are we actually trying to achieve by having more control? If you're like me, this isn't just some random habit that you have. It's a pattern triggered when our internal world feels chaotic. Stress, overwhelm, uncertainty, they all push us to seek control over something external, hoping it'll fix what's really going on inside. Trust me, I've been there. And in today's episode, I'm breaking down why we default to controlling the external and get into the psychology behind it. And most importantly, what can you do instead to create lasting internal peace? So stick around. This is the High Performance Human Podcast, where high achievers come to master themselves, not just their success. I'm Creighton Bertrand, certified high-performance coach and entrepreneur obsessed with mastering the mind, body, and emotions to reach the next level in every area of my life. My mission is to give you real, actionable tools to rewire your habits and mindset for the life that you know you were meant for. If you're done settling for good enough and you're ready for real transformation, you are in the right place. Now let's get to work. All right, welcome back or welcome to the High Performance Human Podcast. Thank you so much to those of you that have been here for the last few episodes. I really hope that you're getting something from these and that you're taking time to actually implement it and to share it with others. And if you aren't, there might be a reason for this. Because after a decade of studying high performers, it's obvious that most people don't understand how their mind and body actually works. Feelings get mistaken for facts. And if that's you, that's okay. Because most of us don't know what are feelings. And realistically, they're just chemicals firing in our brain based upon our environment, our thoughts, or our physical state. Which sounds simple enough and harmless, right? But in actuality, these feelings or fleeting chemical reactions drive almost everything that we do in our lives. Because at our core, we're driven by feelings. We eat because we feel hungry. We seek connection when we feel lonely. And we even destroy our lives chasing substances. Not for the substance itself, but for the feeling it gives us. Our need for control, it's no different. When we feel stressed, overwhelmed, or lost, our brain's natural instinct is to fix it. It tries to eliminate discomfort by controlling the external world, assuming that if the outside is perfect, then the inside will follow. Rationally, this makes sense, right? And I've done this countless times. Whenever life felt chaotic, I'd overhaul my diet or I'd start to micromanage my routine, thinking it would calm the storm inside of me. But here's the truth. Controlling the external doesn't regulate your emotion. Realistically, it's only distracting you from temporarily going after the real root. And that's why you can hit every goal and you can still feel anxious. Because the issue was never the external. It was always the internal. And here's the biggest problem with this. This behavior pattern is really dangerous because it starts to make you believe that your happiness, your peace, your confidence, whatever it is that you're feeling can be controlled by external factors alone. And the more you buy into this, the weaker your internal stability actually becomes. And worse, you never actually address the real issue, whatever the internal state or the internal feeling that's driving you to go do something. So what if you stopped trying to fix the outside and started to learn how to master the inside? And that's where real control real freedom really comes from. So, this sounds great, but how do you actually shift out of this cycle and take back real control of your life? Well, I want to talk about 3 strategies that are backed by psychology and neuroscience that will help you address and discover the real issue. And the first thing is to identify the feeling and what you're really trying to achieve. So what we need to do is we need to notice when you're wanting to fix an external problem. Try to pause and ask yourself, what do I actually feel right now? And why do I feel like I need to control this thing? Is this real? Or is this just a distraction from something else? The more specific that you can get here, the better. Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it insecurity? Is it overwhelm? Because the key is to identify the story that you're brainwashing yourself. Because this story is usually something like, once I get control of X, then I'll finally be Y. And another great question to ask yourself is, what do you think will happen once you finally have this external control? What will you feel then? Because that usually gives you a really good clue on what is the real root of the issue. So for example, if you're obsessing over your finances, dig deeper. Is it really about money, or are you trying to feel safe? Or maybe you're trying to feel secure. If you're trying to control your diet, is it about health? Or are you really chasing the feeling of self-worth or confidence? Identifying this emotion and what you're really trying to feel allows you to address it directly instead of relying on the external control to fix it. The second thing that we need to do is we need to start to train our nervous system to handle the unknown, the uncertainty, the scary boogeyman that might be laying underneath our bed. Because most people try to control things because the uncertainty makes them anxious. And I'm no different. I, as an engineer and person that craves certainty, probability, perfection, all that, my body, my brain does not like not knowing. It definitely makes me feel anxious. And it can make you feel, that something's dangerous on the other side. And so what happens is your brain reacts to this by trying to create certainty wherever it can, because uncertainty is calmness. You know what's going to happen. But most of life is uncertain. So we're creating an unrealistic lifestyle for ourselves that realistically no amount of planning, control, or obsessing is ever going to eliminate uncertainty completely. So one thing that I try to do so much in my life is I stop fighting it. I don't want to fight reality. So I try to train my nervous system, my mind, my body to handle discomfort without overreacting. So think about it. When you feel out of control, what is your first instinct? For me, I scramble to do something. Do you find yourself check your email, double check your finances, you tweak your routine, you scroll through social media, you take action? But usually it's not because it's the right action, but it's because it feels like you're doing something. And by doing, you've started to manipulate yourself that you're gaining some sort of control. But what we're really doing is avoiding the deeper emotional work that we really need to do. And the real solution is you have to build a resiliency into the unknown. You have to teach your nervous system that just because something feels uncertain, just because something feels scary, it doesn't actually mean it's a threat until you label it and see it as a threat. So how do we do this? Well, we need to deliberate some stillness. So one way we can do this is to take 5 minutes a day just to be with your thoughts. No phone, no distractions, no fixing. Just sit with the discomfort and let your body process it without reacting. This is one thing that I started to do. It was so hard for me. So if you're struggling, I get it. Just keep going. Another thing is to remember to start small. And if you always plan every detail of your day, maybe you can practice leaving one thing open-ended. Or if you micromanage your team, try stepping back on just one little decision. Another thing you can do is to get into some sort of breathing or grounding exercises. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, as an engineer, I've studied, I've looked into this, there's science that backs this up. So the next time that you feel the urge to control, take a moment, pause, practice slow, deep breathing to calm and re-regulate your nervous system. One of the best techniques is the physiological sigh. And Andrew Huberman talks about this a lot, but what you do is you take a deep breath in, and then you take another deeper one, and then exhale. This is one of the best ways to downregulate your nervous system and get it back to a calm baseline. Deep breath in, another one, followed by a long exhale. And the reason why this works is because every time that you're training yourself to sit with discomfort instead of reacting to it, you're rewiring your brain's stress response. So over time, this makes you so much less reactive to uncertainty, which means you won't feel the need to control everything just to feel okay. Now, the goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty. The real goal is to become the kind of person who doesn't break down under it. Okay, and the last thing that we can do is we want to try to find a way to separate our thoughts from reality. This is the third step. Because your brain is a thought-generating machine. Like it or not, that's what it does. It's constantly feeding you ideas, stories, and even fears. And some thoughts are helpful. Others, well, unfortunately, they're just pure garbage. But the real problem isn't the thoughts themselves. It's that most people believe every thought that they have without a question. And I used to do the same thing. So if your brain tells you, I need to fix this right now or everything will fall apart, you react as if that thought is indeed fact. If it says, I'm failing, I'm not good enough, I need to control this to feel okay, you do what I did, is I just accepted it as truth. But just because your brain thinks something doesn't mean it's real, right? I mean, I'm sure there was a time when you were younger, you drew ducks with yellow crayons and purple crayons and rainbow and all that. Just because you thought it didn't mean that it was necessarily real. And the problem is when you don't challenge these thoughts, what happens? Well, they start to control your actions. And if you're constantly acting on fear-based thoughts, you'll spend your entire life reacting instead of leading. So how can we break this pattern? How can we separate our thoughts from reality? Well, one of my favorite techniques is this name it to tame it. So when you feel overwhelmed, pause and say out loud, I'm noticing that I'm feeling anxious, or I want to control something. Because just this small action engages a different part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is the logical part of your brain. So breaking the cycle of emotional reactivity by engaging your prefrontal cortex is so key to start to come up with new ideas, new thoughts, new actions. And that's the next thing we want to do. We want to challenge that thought. And that's why we want to engage the prefrontal cortex. We want to start thinking. And we want to start asking ourselves questions of curiosity like, is this actually true? Do I have real evidence, or is this just fear talking to me right now? And what would I tell a friend if they had the same thought, or my child? Because this is allowing us to create some distance between you and the thought, which makes it so much easier to choose a response instead of just reacting impulsively. The other thing that you can do is you can reframe the narrative. So if your thought is, if I don't fix this, everything will fall apart, you can try to reframe it to, things are uncertain right now. That's true. And that's okay, because I'm resilient and I can handle it. Or I don't have to solve everything today. I can take it one step at a time. I talk about this a lot for anyone that's gone through any of my coaching. I talk about the principle of it is I am. It is hard. I am resilient. It is really stressful. I am disciplined. I am courageous. You identify what it is, and then you define who you are. You don't let that thing define what action you're going to take. And this works because you're labeling your thoughts instead of just reacting to them. And by doing this, you're actually taking back control over your decision making. And over time, this practice will start to rewire your default mode. So instead of spiraling when something feels out of control, you can step back and respond with clarity and confidence. And the key here is to try to gain some sort of emotional mastery. It's not stopping negative thoughts. That's not possible. But it's learning to separate thoughts from reality so they no longer get to dictate your life and your response. Okay, so here's your homework for today. What I want you to do is for the next 7 days, whenever you feel overwhelmed or stressed, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And what am I really trying to control here? Am I looking for more calmness? Am I looking for more safety? Once you identify what it is, shift your attention inward and focus on creating that peace internally, not controlling it externally. And if you notice yourself already stuck in a control habit, pause and ask yourself, what do you think will change once you have absolute control of that thing? What will you finally feel and what will change in your life? And then, what is happening in your life right now that has caused you to feel this way? That should lead you on the path to discover the real root of the issue that you've been avoiding. Now, over time, you'll start to realize the real power comes from mastering your internal world. The moment that you start doing that, oh man, I can't tell you that everything will start to fall into place. So if this episode resonated with you, let me know, DM me, share this with a friend who needs to hear it, and help me create more change in the world. And if you haven't yet, please, it would mean the world to me if you left a 5-star review so we can help other humans learn how to be human. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time on the High Performance Human podcast.